So I was finally able to get my hands on a laser that can actually engrave into metals, and it's pretty easy to use as well. And this was sent to me by xTool. And with this particular setup, you're not limited to just metals, seeing that this kit comes with 2 different laser heads. And that's not all that xTool sent me, as you can see. And I'll definitely be using all of this in this video. But anyways, the entire laser is nicely packed, but it also needs to be assembled. But with everything out of the box, you can see that most of it is already put together into these bigger parts. And this made assembly extremely easy, especially with this full color instruction manual, which goes over everything in detail with really large pictures. It did come with this little metal sheet so you can cut stuff on and not damage your table, but honestly this thing is pretty small for how big you can cut with this laser. So I'll be using the proper sized metal sheet along with a honeycomb bed, which I highly suggest getting if you're using a diode laser. And speaking of the laser, the one that comes in the box with the frame is a 20-watt laser head, and it has adjustments so you can cut through 10mm wood. There's also a easy to use swing arm that allows you to get the perfect focus every time. And this does come out of the box ready for an air assist. And unfortunately, you have to buy that separately. And in my opinion, a must-have for clean cuts. And the setup for this is extremely easy. Just plug one end of the hose into the air pump and the other into the laser head. And to prove my case about the air assist being a must, these are 2 cuts using the same exact settings. The only difference is I have the air assist off for the first one and on for the second one. As you can see, there's a huge difference and a lot of staining on the one without. Also, with the air assist, it cut better. This also should help prevent flare-ups, lowering the chances of your pieces catching on fire. That being said, this does have a flame detector and a gyroscope, so if it gets knocked over or something catches on fire, it'll shut itself off. And this laser head does have a secondary laser in it that acts as a crosshair or a guide. To run the laser, you can use a free software from xTool or the paid software Lightburn, and you can use Wi-Fi to connect to it or use a USB cable. And before cutting any material, make sure you adjust your laser focus using the swing arm, so you have the perfect spacing. And this is one of 2 files that I use on all materials I'm going to be using, and it acts as a reference guide so you know exactly how fast and how much power to use. And you might have noticed this makes a lot of smoke, seeing that you are burning material. So make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area or have ventilation set up. And honestly, your best case scenario might be an enclosure, like this one that I made a video on a while ago. And here's both of the test files all done, and as you can see, this is a pretty strong laser. So if you're a Star Trek fan, you might have noticed that the shape I was cutting earlier is a batleth. And a friend of mine needed 100 of these, so let's cut them out using this laser. And after about an hour of cutting, they're all done. And you can see that most of them just fell right out. And all but one of these came out perfect. And the failed one was due to an imperfection in the wood, which happens from time to time. And as I've shown, this laser has no problem cutting through wood, but it can also cut and engrave on opaque acrylics. And if you have any metals that are coated or anodized, you can remove that to expose the metal underneath and make interesting patterns like this. You can even mark on stainless steel like this, but only stainless steel with this laser head. But if you want to engrave on other metals like copper, silver, or gold, we're going to have to switch it out. And removing the laser head is pretty straightforward. Just remove your airline if you have one, loosen up the adjustment screw, and slide the entire laser head off. And then just unplug the connector on the back. And this is the infrared unit that you saw at the very beginning of the video. And this laser uses a different wavelength of light, and that's what makes it able to mark onto metals. There's also no need for an air assist on this one, but you're still going to want ventilation, seeing that you don't really want to breathe in the fumes from the metals. But anyways, with this on the machine, you can see that it has a small red light. This is there to help you line everything up and see where your laser is going to be hitting. And to adjust the focus, you still use the little swing arm on this laser as well. And with that all set up, I can do my first test and see if the laser is going to do anything to the metal. And it's nothing special, it's just a small square, and it looks like it worked, so I'm going to try some text on here. And it took about 5 minutes to finish, but it looks like it came out nice and crisp, and rubbing my thumb over it, I can feel that there is material missing here. So it's not just coloring the metal, it's actually removing it. So next up is a piece of sterling silver, with a custom honeycomb design that I made for it. And this took about half an hour to finish, but it came out really nice. But if you're just wanting to mark the metal so you have a pattern to cut out, this can do it really quick. And this isn't sped up at all. And one of the major upsides to this is you can't rub it off or smear it. So you can make some really complex shapes that you can then cut out. You can also mix the marking and engraving and make something that looks like this, and drill a few holes in it so you can do some piercing cuts using your jeweler saw and then cutting the rest of it out. And you can make interesting looking things like this that are kind of an optical illusion on a flat object. There's also a rotary setup for this, so you can engrave on the outside of round objects. So obviously I'm doing it on the pendant that I made, but you can also use this same setup on rings. So this is a quick and easy way to add details to things that you normally wouldn't be able to. So with this 2-in-1 kit, you'll be able to engrave and cut a ton of different materials. But just keep in mind, you're not going to be able to cut through any metals, just marking and engraving. This is a very versatile setup, but it also doesn't come very cheap. The 2-in-1 set that I have is about $1,800. And if you want to save about $550, you can get the 10-watt laser setup, which is still extremely capable for cutting and engraving things. And if you're looking to see more about the 10-watt laser and what it can do, I'll have a playlist on the screen now. So let me know in the comments if you want to see me do an entire project using this to show off its full capabilities. I'll have links to everything I talked about in this video in the description below, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.